going to do them much favors though, because Villains immediately find themselves down 1-0 here, 8 seconds in, barely able to start up the game, and already Sheeesh continuing their hot streak.
Have done really well for themselves as they come through the lower bracket. They have that warm-up, they have their mechanics ready. I was worried a little bit for them because in that last game of the last series, they looked a little bit shaky all around, but already a bit of a double commit coming out from Villains again. It's not led them to a good start here. They had a few problems in the last match where they were double committing early on, and then they figured that one out, and we'll see if that does happen again.
Awkward plays on the back end here for Villains, but this is basically their warm-up game, trying to get re-established, figure out how they want to play against their opponents. And Yumi, I'm interested. I have never figured out what on earth to call this game. When you get a game advantage, are you of the side of calling it game number 1 but game advantage, or do you also just kind of call it game number 2?
I don't know. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. I'll refer to it as game 1 throughout the rest, or you just say the first game. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
A tale old as time and probably will never be settled, similar to rules 1, 2, or whatever you really want to call it at this point, because with about a minute 20 into this game, no matter what you call this first game, it's going to be in favor of Sheeesh for now. They're continuing to play pretty organized here, but unfortunately, they're finally giving some offensive pressure to their opponents, and Villains, after a sloppy start, clean it up and find themselves the first goal of their game.
And Sprat not able to get to that one, so good couple of plays between Gus and Scarf will open up the net, and this is much better than what we expected to happen. We expected this one to maybe be a warm-up game for Villains, but it looks like they're already ready to go.
They are very ready, but unfortunately, they still need to stay solid on defense because Sheeesh are ready to go as well. Immediately able to put themselves back up by 1. Great 50-50 from Cabo, and an even better slot in from Ghost.
It's not very long, and you know what? We'll count that as a kickoff goal, so finally it goes the other way. They get one instead of being kicked off, and I mean, they've been going for these fake kickoffs over and over again, other than being too successful.
Hey, listen, it's at least more successful than the multiple kickoffs that have gone directly against them. So you know what? Even if it isn't necessarily doing them that many favors, I appreciate that Sheeesh are trying to vary it up and give themselves a greater chance at not immediately giving away this lead. And, well, at this point, I don't think they're going to immediately give it away. They might fall to a counterattack here, though, because Villains are playing very patiently, just waiting for a good opening. And this could be the one. No, instead, Ghost actually dusts their opponent in air. And while Sprat can't get the first initial touch, and I don't think Cabo meant to make that touch, as it was a little bit too to the side instead of more of a forward pass for Ghost. Still, though, Sheeesh able to hold on to the ball right now. Villains had a pretty strong comeback after not the greatest start, but since that second goal from Sheeesh, they've been a little bit quiet.
And Ghost has missed a couple of balls here, and that's not helped them out whatsoever, but they still will maintain that 1-goal lead for now. As you're looking at Scarth on the other end, who had a really great series in the last one, especially with his striking. Let's see if he can get involved in that one again, as most of the time he just had the chance to go forward and look for a setup. Hasn't really gone anywhere just yet.
And speaking of which, this one's a really slow developing play. This not really, I'm imagining not going to turn into much, but somehow Sprite actually gets a really clean shot off. If it weren't for the save from Scarth, it'd be 3-1 here. Sheeesh popping into offense out of nowhere, and this is why this team is so deadly. They can go from a slow development of the play to a bullet of a shot within a second. Similarly, though, Ghost can also make some missed touches on the back end, so Sheeesh really the duality of man being shown on the pitch right now.
Yeah, I feel like they are extremely good at times and extremely bad at others. That's, summed up by the fact that Sprat missed an open net and then immediately followed up with the next game with 2 great blinding goals in their first series that we watched of them. So it's very interesting to see, and it also gives a lot of hope to their opponents, Villains, who will at all points in time have the ability to get a 0-second goal or similar. We know that's going to be in the pocket.
absolutely possible. We have seen many teams here today pull off some astounding last-second goals, so I've got to imagine that Villains are not counting themselves out quite yet, and they really shouldn't be, because with 45 seconds left, all they need is one good offense, and, well, this isn't necessarily going to be the one. It's an open net, but Cabo, okay, he does indeed get back there. Tried to play this one a little bit fancy with, I think, a pre-jump aerial, but luckily enough, they will get there before Gus and slot this in for the 3-1.
Only just beating out Gus, and that was a great play by Sprat as well. His recovery was instant, and he was straight up to it, no hesitation whatsoever. It's going to be another kickoff, 2 in a row.
When does that become predictable? Because I understand that they're trying to not get scored upon off of the kickoff. Oh, my word. You're going to need to make some touches, though, Ghost. As much as I do appreciate you guys, I think are going to get away with this one. Indeed, Ghost does have a good clearance, but they're going to need to be careful on defense, because if they start playing sloppy like we've seen them do before, there's absolutely a chance that Villains can just start running away with this thing.
Well, there was a famous tournament where Ground Zero did 8 fake kickoffs in a row, and they still won it. So I guess, you know, it can work out, but that was obviously Ground Zero, not Sheeesh. We'll see if they do keep that up, as they have taken this first game. They tie up the series, and now it's just a simple best of 5.
A best of 5, which in my opinion is going to be a little bit more even than the game that we just saw. It took a second for Villains to start warming up, but once they did start warming up, they played a lot better than how they started this game. I definitely don't think they were in favor for the last couple minutes of that game. I do still believe that Sheeesh were heavily the favorites, but it's starting to look a little bit more even as time goes on.
Yeah, and I like that we know that there's a lot more that can come out of Villains, well, because we saw it earlier. Scarth had a great series. Gus, we were talking about, always in the right position. And I think when you're a player like Gus, who's trying to position off your teammates, you rely a little bit more on them having more weight. So once those two, Scarth and Ames, are picking up a little bit more, we'll also see Gus move in too.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think we're really going to start to see a lot of blossoming from that team. Villains have got a lot of upside here. I think that they're going to be a very strong contender throughout the rest of this series, but a lot of this is going to be shutting down the momentum of Sheeesh, because we've seen this before. When Sheeesh are at their best, they are near unstoppable. When they're at their worst, they're we're going to just sort of skip over that. When they're at their worst, they're not necessarily playing that well, but when they're at their best, they're doing great. And is that the 3rd fake kickoff in a row now?
Yeah, it's great. And I think nobody goes to the 4th fake kickoff in a row.
Except for Ground Zero, which, well, they might be pulling some inspiration from them, because it looks like the fake kickoff, I was going to say, worked out at least a little bit. They did get off a shot because of it. No goal to show, but you know what? Honestly, it hasn't gone punished so far for Sheeesh, so I'll take it, you know?
Well, also, the only difference between it being a goal or not is whether Cobbo hit his bump or not. It was a difficult bump to go for. It had to be an aerial bump, but in the end, it was an opportunity, and a good one at that as Ghost. Maybe if he could have rocketed that one into the net, it would have been a goal, but it's still a follow-up here for Cobbo, who slows it down incredibly and actually gives a chance at the other end. Goes for the Gus for the double. No! Oh, he'd worked so hard for that the entire play. It's almost disappointing to see him miss.
Oh, it's unfortunate as well, because Cabo really should have been punished for that play, and similarly, so should Villains for the open net. Extremely confused as both teams get huge opportunities to try and open up the scoreline, and surely this one, no, it is not! Scarth with a last-second save, because Sprat just got a little too comfortable, didn't think they needed a ripper on target, instead just tried to dribble it in, and it will cost Sheeesh dearly, as 90 seconds in, and still neither team able to find the back of the net.
Well, Gus has had his miss, and that's all he's allowed now. Oh, no, he's gone for another one, and it's gone the other end, but it wasn't on target either. Ames got beaten to the ball, but I think even the defender expected that was going to be a 50-50. It's been very interesting so far. Sheeesh maybe should have had a couple of goals, but it seems so far Villains are getting away with it.
This was, This is a very chaotic game at this point. I've got nothing else really to say, but someone's got to start trying to take control of the pace of the pitch here. Both teams are kind of just whipping it around at Mach speed, trying to figure out a way to dictate that pace of play, like I said, but neither one of them doing so very effectively. Surely this has got to be a goal. Indeed it is. After multiple opportunities, finally Sheeesh will indeed find the back of the net.
And very, very quick response from Ghost. His reaction time, very, very short as he gets that pass in the center and opens it up. The demo as well from Sprat. If it hadn't, I mean, they might have been in a bit of hot water, but they made it pretty easy for themselves that time.
Definitely the easiest opportunity we have seen so far. There have been a couple pretty easy opportunities, but nothing quite like that one. And speaking of easy opportunities, Villains have a huge chance there. But Cabo comes up with a third save, picking themselves up a Savior medal and continuing to keep the dream alive for Sheeesh. But uh-oh, the dream might be stomped out here. This should be a shot, but no, Ames can't quite turn on it quick enough. And Villains, they are struggling to build an offense right now. They've had a couple of good opportunities, Yumi, but when it comes time for that ripper of a shot, they just can't find the back of the net.
I'm starting to get sick of Cabo trying to slow play every single ball in front of the opponent's net. It's okay to every now and again, you know, hit the ball fast. Maybe go for a backboard double or something like that. But you just saw how it's going against Villains. Well, they're just quickly challenging that ball, and it's not giving him any chance whatsoever to make the play. This is where he probably has the most advantage to take a slow play, but it's actually going to go on Sprat, and there it gets defended easily.
Now, all of a sudden, it's a 2v1 here, but oh, Sprat comes in out of nowhere to make the save. A good recovery, and now Sheeesh, I think, are going to find themselves their second goal. Indeed, they will. And from almost getting scored upon on one end to a counterattack on another, the speed from Sheeesh is astonishing.
Yeah, and that's where we have Ghost just playing it fast, getting up to it quickly, beating out the Villains players on their way back to net. And it's going to be another fake kickoff, but it's going to be worrying. Cabo could have got demoed right there on his own backboard. I think that would have opened it up. It still may be a goal, but Ames actually goes wide, and it's a goal. I don't know what to say about this.
Sprat, that probably wasn't the touch that you needed necessary, friend. Well, we're just going to sort of gloss over that one because there's not really much to say besides, well, Sheeesh. That was not what we were looking for out of Sheeesh, as all of a sudden they have the lead cut in half here and have to go back to the drawing board. And I think for the first time in 4 or 5 kickoffs in a row, they finally actually go for the kickoff. They have decided they're done with the fakes and will actually try and take the risk of getting scored upon after kickoff.
Yeah, well, I think things had been going pretty poorly for them in the last few kickoffs, so it was about time that they did change it up. And, well, they only have 50 seconds now where they have to hold on to this lead, and they have a bit of a chance on attack too, so they've drained out the boost. Ames only has 12 in his tank, now 0. That means that Ghost can defend that pretty simply, but Ames has actually managed to get boost and keep some of the ball pressure on. Does finally get cleared to the other end, but at this point in time, there's plenty of boost here on Villains.
Plenty of boost, but still somehow they are struggling to get out of their half. That a very, I'd say, not expected 50-50 there. At this point, we probably thought the Villains would be able to start their own offense, but instead, here comes Ghost trying to slot in a shot. And all they're doing now is wasting time. Villains need to get a counterattack in, and a solid one at that. 50-50 from Gus will at least give a chance, but uh-oh, the pass out to Cabo, and I think that might just secure it. Ames desperately trying to keep this one up, but Sheeesh are determined to spike this down and give themselves the win. All they have to do is let this fall, and indeed they do. And Sheeesh, after starting the series down 0-1 due to a game advantage from their opponents, they're now up 2-1 in the series.
It's crazy to think that Sheeesh is able to play an inconsistent game, but well enough to be able to consistently get these wins. And yeah, at the end, Sheeesh, their attacks have been really, really strong, hard to defend, and that's been all the difference. And it goes back to what we said at the very start of the day. We were looking at teams that we expect try to just outscore their opponents rather than have clean defenses.
Yeah, and that's something I think that is probably going to change as time goes on in this series. Because it's a best of 7, they have a little bit more time to feel each other out, and I think we're going to start to see a little bit of evenness as the series develops. But as it stands right now, indeed, it really is one of these things where it's offense, 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 a ton of shots being shot off there in that game. It's favoring Sheesh for sure, but the truth is that Villains gave up a lot of big opportunities to where they probably could have kept themselves in this game. So Villains not quite out of this one yet, but there are necessary changes that need to be made through the rest of the series if they want to try and survive.
Yeah, I mean, even just getting a kickoff goal might be huge, just to give them a bit of early momentum. We saw that earlier for them, but once they got behind, they looked like they didn't really know what to do. They always looked really desperate. Once they had an early lead, they were such a good team that they were able to shut everybody else out. And they went 2 games without being scored on once. We'll see if that's still the case here. They have to get that first goal, and it hasn't worked out too well for them there.
No, they throw all 3 players into offense and still can't find even a real shot on target there. They already have 3 in the first minute of this game, but none of them threatening enough, none of them lethal enough to find an actual goal. And now here comes Sheesh on the counterattack. If they can get a good shot, they really will take all of the momentum back into their favor. They just might be able to do it off of this pop up here. Cabo's up for this one, only gets a 50-50 against Scarth though, and Sprat has to recover. Does Dust Ghost, though, and all of a sudden, now Cabo has themselves a double touch off the backboard, and all of a sudden, 1-0 once again. Sheesh are the first to strike.
This is the one where Cabo is allowed to slow him down, but you know what? If he had taken the shot, it would have been a goal anyway. He makes it fancy, he gets the double, and shows off a little bit of his mechanics.
Mechanics definitely necessary against a team like Villains. If you're not going to be able to dazzle them on offense, it's going to be pretty difficult to get past the defense here. But they've done it on multiple occasions already here, and I don't think that they're quite done yet. If Sheesh take 3 games in a row, this really would be backs against the wall for Villains. Not only will they be on game point, or excuse me, series point, meaning that they can be eliminated at that point, but they also won't have won in a single game in the series. Yes, they did come in with the game advantage, but that was just given to them. In terms of actually battling for a win, Villains have really struggled to find a win in their favor.
I mean, the games have been reasonably close score-wise, especially the last game, but in terms of the control, we've seen Sheesh really taking advantage of it, especially in this game. A lot of time in the attack. Ghost trying to keep that one forward, and he actually does. There's an opportunity here for Sprat, but Gus blocks it out on the line.
Now Gus will even actually take this into a counterattack here. Sprat is going to make a good clearance, but it's not going to be the end. Scarth rips off a shot, but it is not powerful enough. Cabo makes a pretty standard save, but Ames is going to have a follow-up with a save from Sprat. Will keep the dream alive as well. Multiple opportunities here for Villains, but the unfortunate thing is as great as their offense is becoming, the defense for Sheesh is absolutely up to the test.
Ooh, Ghost almost beat him out, and that could have been a goal that end. Now it's gone the other way. Sprat has a chance to get the top of the net, but saved out by Scarth. Required all 3 players from Villains to be in the net for that one, because the other sides were covered, but Scarth had to come up from the backboard to keep that one out. We're seeing a lot of play sideways coming out from Sheesh to keep the ball away from Villains, to prevent them from having some of these counterattacks, and that's giving them a lot more possession too.
And they're very aware of the fact that they can really just possess this ball for as long as they want. They're forcing Villain into these awkward positions on repeat, and I stumble over my words there because I didn't think that challenge would even arrive. Ghost finds themselves a pretty easy second goal as Ames just desperate to try and get a challenge off the backboard as no one else was around for Villains.
Now, there was a bump out on the goal to make sure that there was nobody else as well to back them up. So really nicely played and greatly communicated there by Sheesh. Problem is, we've been looking for Villains to get a goal lead, to get that first goal, and then catapult from there. They haven't been able to do it. Now they're 2 goals down, and they're going to have to find one, and they do. Scarth gets that in the center, and Gus will finish it off.
We've seen a couple of these here today, these 50-50s in the corner that just find themselves in front of the net. The good thing is, though, Villains at least capitalize upon this one because a couple of these have gone unpunished. And to see Villains finally get themselves a goal here is really a good sign. The question is whether or not they can now run with said momentum. Oh my word, I thought we were about to see another kickoff goal against Sheeeesh. At that point, I'm pretty sure they go back to the fake kickoffs, because at least on fake kickoffs, they weren't immediately getting scored upon.
They have to start being careful about these challenges. Scarf has had 2 amazing challenges in a row, both almost, one was basically in the net, the other one almost was in the net, and they have to just be a little bit more cautious of their 50s. This is the kind of time right now where we might see some desperation from Villains. They might be sending a lot, so they'll need to make use of the attack. There's a good touch, has forced a defensive error. Now is an opportunity as they do keep it in. Sprat almost got the clear. It will get down to the other end. So that 35 seconds looks very tight here for Villains.
They're going to try to restart their offense from the back end here, but a double commitment like that is going to do them no favors because here comes Sheeeesh, and what do they do best? Possess the ball and waste time. This is a comfortable place for them to be, but a double commitment there is going to leave a very awkward combo by themselves, but somehow they still make the save. 2 players going in to try and get some physical play in, but still neither of them are able to find the net, but somehow this ball does go in here, no one home, and all of a sudden Villains have tied the game up.
All the bumps, all of them opened it up. They went for 2 waves of bumps back and forth, all of them going at it. Maybe a bit of an overcommit as well from Sheeeesh being too comfortable. And it's a kickoff goal, of course. Ames will get it in from the jaws of victory. Somehow, Sheeeesh have managed to grasp defeat. They've managed to get themselves scored on another kickoff, and well done by Ames getting it by himself.
Oh my god, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. Sheeesh, I don't even know. How many kickoff goals have we seen scored against them? It was inevitable we were going to see one here at some point in the series just because of the way that Sheeeesh are, but I did not think it would be the deciding factor here in game number 4. And oh wait, it's not going to be! Ghosts somehow are going to find themselves a shot, and just as soon as we were counting them out, Sheeeesh will tie up the game with 0 seconds remaining.
and honestly, it was another double commit. This time from Villains, and we get ourselves into overtime. What a series. I don't know what to say about these teams. Neither of them having anything clean, but it makes it exciting. Multiple 0-second goals. That's right, multiple 0-second goals, not just across the day, but in this game itself.
This is quite the series. This is everything we were hoping the finals to be, and it's the saves like that that show why it is so impressive. I thought that was absolutely going to be the end of the game for Villains as they had an incredible offense together, but the save on the line from Sprat is absolutely top class, and now the shot, the follow-up as well, might just be able to give them the game. But Ghost is not back quite in time here, just has to pinch it out and buy time. Sheeeesh really laid all the cards out on the table there, wanted to get a goal and finish off this overtime, but instead now they're going to have to survive on defense as Villains look to try and give themselves the winning goal.
It'd be an interesting story as well when it comes to Cobbo and Sprat. They've had a couple of RLCSs where they've kind of been known for throwing a series and, having a solid chance of winning and then losing out. So 0 seconds of an overcommit or in an overtime. And we'll see if that does manage to cost them there. They haven't actually been punished for that one. But it's looking a bit shaky as Sprat, there's a lot of room there for Ames, who's been a little bit more deadly in this game.
I'm definitely getting more nervous for Sheeeesh because they are giving a lot of time to their opponents. And similarly, though, Villains playing a bit impatiently, as we saw with the jump there, they are just trying to get in the way of Sheeeesh. And unfortunately, that's really not going to do them any favors. They need to play pretty precisely here. Otherwise, they're going to give opportunities like this. Sprat, though, can't find the follow-up touch off the backboard. And Sheeeesh will have to go back to the drawing board here and try and restart this offense. Definitely able to at least keep possession, though, as Sprat does find a touch off the ceiling, but that might be the end of the offense there. Cabo has to go all the way into their back half, and now Scarth has got a shot of their own, and My oh my, Ghost made that about as nervous of a save as possible, but it'll keep the dream alive for now. 2 minutes into overtime, both teams having some good opportunities, but still neither one of them able to end this game.
It just looks so nervous from Sheeesh. The way that they're staying so far back, they're not ready to challenge multiple players. It looks very shaky. They're not willing to overcommit either, which is probably a good thing. But it has also made it very interesting where the villains at the moment, they're looking solid all around, but Sprat's got the win. Oh, no! No way! Wait, you just had to go up for it.
I don't even know if he had to go up for it. I think that he probably could have just jumped last second and spiked that one. I don't know what to say, because that's actually the second time that I think Cabo has done that, and now it's gonna not cost them the game. Off the bar, no one was ready for the save, but Villains put that one high, and all of a sudden we get to the 3-minute mark. There were 2 chances here where I thought there was no way this game would continue.
I mean, have you ever seen such a long overtime where both teams have presented open net opportunities? Kind of crazy to think about, as Ghost does get the win. It's now a solid attack here from Sheeesh. Cobo just in the center, but it's instead going to be Ghost by himself on defense. He just chads it. He goes the other end, but Sprat this time doesn't get the right touch, and that's given a free clear over to Gus.
But Gus in an awkward position here, so Ames has to bail them out. And speaking of awkward positions, Sprat by themselves here just has to buy time for the team, and they do exactly that because some misses develop here. And now Sprat will find a phenomenal play to finish this one off, and back and forth between Ghost and Sprat, a phenomenal passing duo, and they will end the game with 3:52 into overtime.
Oh, just too fast for Sprat over the top of him and getting the redirect. I mean, how do they miss every single easy shot possible and then score that one? I will never know, but they have managed to do it. The diciest game in Rocket League history, and Sheeesh come out on top.
A phenomenal finish. I just can't believe what we just saw here. And a little bit of banter being thrown up in the chat as well. This is something I actually did not know. So apparently, this is actually the second time today that Sheeesh have been on match point against Villains, because earlier today we said they went to game 5 and lost to Villains. Turns out, apparently according to Villains, or at least according to Scarth, they reverse swept them last time. So there's actually still a chance here. If Villains have the type of confidence that they can reverse sweep, I mean, power to them. I'd love to see this series keep going.
Yeah, we'll see if that is the case. Of course, I feel like if you're playing both teams as messy as they are, there is no shot that you will ever get a reverse sweep, because there's no chance that a team's going to win 3-4 of those in a row. There's just going to be a random game where a ball rolls in the net or something like that.
I will say, there will be some sort of cosmic irony here, and I'm not necessarily cheering for Sheeesh to win it, but if Sheeesh are going to win this, can it please be off a kickoff goal going in their favor? It'd be possibly the greatest way to end this series ever, and oh my word, the memes that I'd be able to make about it, I just would have so much fun.
You'll see how it goes. It's at the moment, Sheeesh are on the attack and looking to get off to an early lead again. We still have not yet seen Villains get the first goal in this series, and that's when they looked their best in that past series, in that upper bracket. And I think it's about time. I think for the fans, we should at least see one game where they get the first goal.
I mean, listen, I don't disagree with you, but when you can get a goal like this, I think we might just have to give them some credit. Ghost with the weirdest 50-50 pinch into the net. I don't even really know how to describe that play. All I can call it is a 1-0 lead for Sheeesh, only 40 seconds into the match.
Well, Ghost has at least picked up his big boy pants and managed to get that first goal after what was probably a very dicey overtime for him and for Cobo in the last one. First goal here, maybe goal number 2 as Sprat finds the angle, and I think they're fired up after those comments from Scar.
Yeah, they might be a little bit angry. They might go, okay, you guys want to see what it's like to prevent a reverse sweep? Well, let me demonstrate here. As a minute in, they're up 2-0, and indeed, yep, Ghost already started to talk a little bit in chat there. It seems like the vitriol and the vinegar is still there. They want their revenge, and they're just about ready to do so. If they can survive for another 4 minutes, they've got enough of a lead that they can probably stay comfortable. They definitely do want a third goal here, and as you can see by Sprat just waiting on the wall, they're going to do it in a pretty spectacular fashion, I might imagine.
It seems that, well, actually, we've been at this moment in the 2-0 lead before, multiple times. Hasn't worked out too well every single time. That was almost a 3-goal lead. It would have probably sealed it. Haven't managed to get that there. There's a minute and a half underway, and 2 goals is plenty of time, at least, for the comeback to happen.
Sprat, though, going to try and do whatever they can to prevent that, and gets a pass out to the center. A phenomenal final touch from Sprat, but unfortunately for Ghost, it was contested by Scarth in front of the net. The Villains really doing whatever they can to try and prevent this further lead from Sheeeesh here, but really, they have to also focus on offense as well. As great as their defense has been here, they need to get themselves a couple of shots in, because this game they haven't had a registered shot so far here. 5 for Sheeeesh, 2 goals to show from that. Villains, they've got 3 saves, but not a single shot on net. And oh my word, their difficulties continue here as a demo goal for Sprat is going to give a 3rd goal to Sheeeesh.
Oh, great bounce as well. That gets it over there for Sprat. I don't think Ames was expecting that one, as that means that it was very much scoreable. 3-0 now means that Sheeeesh are in a very good spot to not just take the grand final, but to sweep it.
Yeah, if they sweep this, I would be beyond astonished. I think, I don't want to necessarily speak for you, Yumi, but myself personally, I definitely expected some sort of back and forth between these two teams. Considering how impressive they were to start the day, Villains really did, I believe, have the ability to at least get a game or 2 in this series, but as it stands right now, they have struggled thoroughly to be able to get any sort of momentum in their favor. But just as I say that, finally the first goal will arrive, and Villains give themselves a shot to continue the series.
Nice push through from Gus. The fact that he flipped through the ball, carried his momentum behind it, so even without very much boost at all, he's able to finish that goal. I mean, I wasn't expecting a clean sweep, because, I mean, let's face it, Sheeeesh have had some of the worst games, some of the best games today, and you're more likely that they will have some mess-ups. Whether we've seen Villains play really consistently across the board for the most part, and, well, that's usually going to be good enough to take at least a couple of games here and there. It's interesting to see that that may not have been the case, as Sheeeesh consistently getting out to these early leads. They have a 2-goal lead right now, and this is probably about that time they might start thinking about just trying to hold on to it rather than score more.
Yeah, I've got to imagine so, because they're, I was going to say their defense is starting to get a little bit shaky, so they might need to take a deep breath and reset themselves, especially considering that 3-goal lead has been cut down to 1 with 90 seconds remaining. This is definitely enough time that Villains can pull this one back.
Very odd defense as well. Sprat had moved into the corner to join his 2 teammates for a tea party, and it hasn't worked out too well for them. So now the danger's there once again, as Villains have really stepped it up. They've shown that they were able to get the 0-second goals, or at least the last second goals, and so the danger zone is that might be one more. It does! It goes in off the defender. It's been 3 goals in a row for Villains.
Oh, no, that is, oh my word, I don't know what to say about that one. Ghost just trying to get across the goal there. As the shot is off target, it just somehow finds its way into the back of their car. And now all of a sudden, oh, please tell me this isn't going in. Okay, Cabo does make the save. I thought Villains were about to win this game off of a kickoff goal, but they may still win it off of a goal nonetheless, because they've got a ton of offensive pressure. But the minute I mention that, all of a sudden they find themselves in their own half here. Sheeeesh playing very aggressively. I've got to imagine they're pretty upset by giving up that 3-0 lead. And to be honest, I can't blame them, especially when now they are down by 1.
Oh, Sprat, a terrible touch. Ghost follows it up, not expecting that Scarf was right there waiting for the challenge. 4 goals in a row now for Villains Esports. They've picked it up and they're ready to go with this reverse sweep.
They might just be able to do so if they can keep playing like this, but sheesh, they're not done either. Cabo has the flip reset, but the save from Ames will keep the dream alive. And Sprat pre-jumping that one for some reason. 2 players commit on that, and I'm gonna be honest, that probably should have been a goal for Sheesh. If they had not double committed, the defense was in extremely awkward positions, and they most likely would have tied this game up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Sprat was up at all. It's pretty obvious that Ghost was going for the double, but maybe that is the desperation that they're looking for. Sprat, he doesn't go for the flip reset. He just blocks it straight through, but it goes off the crossbar. He doesn't get the goal, and it's cleared out of the way.
Oh no, again, missed opportunities for Sheesh. And listen, we were talking about it's the high of highs for Sheesh, and it's the lowest of lows for them, and this by far was the lowest of lows. The first half of this game, they absolutely controlled. In the second half, well, they threw it away. There's no two ways about it. No way to soften the blow. They straight threw that game for the last probably, I'd say, 2 to 3 minutes of it. And Villains, they're going to be ecstatic because this went from a series that was near impossible for them to pull back to, hey, this might be doable.
Well, I mean, it might just be that Cobbo Sprat throw factor I was talking about. They've had these series where it felt like they were meant to win, they got really close, and then they let themselves get scored 4 times in a row to lose a game, and from there it can compound on. And because of the fact that Villains have a 1-game advantage, they only need to get 2 more.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy to think about. Villains do secure their first win of the series, quote unquote, but they secure their second game. So as much as Sheesh really did have a comfortable lead on the series before this, they're now within 1 game of each other. If this goes to game number 7 and the reverse sweep actually happens, I'm going to be 100% honest. I have nothing that I can do but sort of just sit back and laugh because, sheesh, this will be the second time in the day that you've been able to get to game point versus your opponents and not finish them off. It would not be a good look whatsoever, and really it would more just double down on what you're saying, Yummy, about the clutch factor being near non-existent for Sheesh.
Well, could also just be the clutch factor of Scarth. He's obviously had some great success. And, you know, without much belief from many other players around the region. Not many. I'd say the biggest thing is, you know, nobody likes to lose to Scarf because they think that, like, mechanically he's just not all there. But he's consistently been able to get the dubs. He's been able to get into the grand final today. And all of a sudden we have hope that he could take it out as well.
And I believe that they can do so, especially if we're seeing more double commitments like we've seen from Sheesh already in this game. Multiple opportunities for them to try and continue their offensive pressure, but rather than playing coordinated, they just kind of rush at the ball here. So Villains definitely getting their best opportunity so far here with a really awkward Sheesh offense. And, well, the awkwardness is not going to just be on their side, though. A whiff there out of Villains is going to be, I think, the end of their offense, or maybe not. Cabo just straight getting dusted in the air there. And as Ghost just tries to buy time on the back end, Scarth will demo everybody for that one. The only player alive was Ames, who tries to keep that offense alive. But inevitably, it does find its way into the Villains' half, and Sheesh might be able to start their own offense. Or, no, I guess not. Gus with a solo play, and back and forth we go. Neither team seems to want to possess the ball. They're just kind of heavy touch after heavy touch, and back and forth we go.
Well, Gus was huge in the last game, participating in pretty much all of those goals to get them the win. And, well, he might be able to continue on that with the confidence that he's gained from there. Very, very scary to see. Again, I do want to see if the first goal can go the way of Villains, whether they will be able to carry that one forward. Oh, no! Okay, I didn't think there was a third player back, but there was, as Scarth had missed that one.
Now is a huge opportunity, though, for Sheesh here. They may have been able to hold off the first time, but Villains have got to continue staying strong on defense right now because everybody off of Sheesh are here with a little bit of anger. They were angry in the last game to start it off, and now I got to imagine after giving up a 3-0 lead, they're got to be just as angry here. And with about half the game remaining, this one has definitely been a lot tenser than before. While the comeback is still very, very real for Villains, there's a chance for them to try and change the series in their favor. They need to have someone in net to do that. 1-0 here. Sheeesh find their first goal of the game.
I don't blame Villains at all. I wasn't trusting Ghost to get that big clear, the half volley clear off the backboard, and neither was they. But Cobo was, and he gets the fantastic redirect at the same time, which means once again the first goal goes the way of Sheeesh.
Oh my word, I gotta wonder if Villains are starting to take note of that. I have to imagine they're taking note of that, just sitting here going, what on earth do we have to do to start the scoring in their favor? But luckily enough for them, they have shown they've got comeback potential. They are never down and out of a game like this, because with 2 minutes remaining, all they need is one good offense, and they'll be right back into this one. And who else but Gus to try and get a solo play here? Can't quite control it out of the corner, though. And Sprat will just play like a nuisance, get in the way, and waste time inevitably. But we mentioned his name once, and he will show up. Gus gonna equalize.
Great pass up by Ames. It looked like it was going to go across. Nobody ready for that one except for Gus. Up to it nice and quickly. And once again, just in great positioning.
Minute 43 remains here. There's definitely a chance that Sheeesh can try and pull this back in their favor. But again, we have seen things go from bad to worse for Sheeesh on multiple occasions. But well, Caster Curse had to show its face at least one more time today, and all of a sudden, Sheeesh hear me dissing them and go, you sure about that one? We've got 90 seconds, and now we're up by 2-1.
Hey, Okabo's been going up in the air slowly for so many balls. He finally rushes. He beats out the player off the kickoff, and that sets it up for a nice touch by Sprat. So I can't even think that Sheeesh might be able to take this game, even with the 1-game lead, just because I saw last game. And Sprat putting that shot on, it's exactly the reason why it's tied up. At any point in time, it looks like the Sheeesh defense will crumble.
Well, that's a little bit of a caster blessing for the Villains, and, well, I don't know if I'm going to call that a caster curse for the Sheeesh, because the curse has been there for quite some time. They really, really are falling apart on defense here, and at one save throughout the whole match, doesn't really seem like defense has been prioritized, and we kind of knew that this would be a trend. I just didn't think it would happen in the finals, as, again, no one is home, and Villains have completed their comeback.
Oh, this is a great flip reset attempt by Cobo, but of course it just means it's a completely open net the entire time. Sprat didn't know what to do, whether it was going to hit the backboard or go in. And, well, here we go. Villains have got the lead again, and I don't know what to think.
I'm thinking that we might just be seeing game number 7 at this point with 60 seconds remaining. The reverse sweep is not only looking like a viable option, it's starting to look a little bit probable at this point, because Sheeesh cannot seem to close out this series for the life of them. They have had so many opportunities to just finish this out and get themselves a game, but no matter what they do, they have found themselves in awkward position after awkward position, and then they bump into each other on offense.
Wait,
oh no, and then an own
go
goal
in.
pinch. You've got to be kidding me. Going from bad to worse, Sheeesh find themselves down 4-2 with 40 seconds remaining.
I love it. It comes off the defender after the Cucks pinch, and it goes into his own goal after they were working so hard to get the goal themselves. Oh, Sheeesh. I love it. I love it.
Oh my word. This is I don't even know what to describe this as. This is calamity. This is chaos. This is just absolute insanity on the pitch, and it's insanity that's going further and further in favor of Villains as they score their 5th goal. This was a 2-2 ball game probably about, I think, a minute ago, and now it is 5-2. Villains have shown that there is never a moment where you can count them out of a series.
They still haven't got a first goal in any single game. If they do, I'm sure that they'll guaranteed win it. But for now, they have guaranteed won this game and definitely taken us to a game number 7. And I don't know, if you're Sheeesh, you might not worry too much about this game. It was the previous one where they had it locked in all but and still managed to lose. If they lose the entire thing, that's where they're going to be looking at.
I'm really interested to see what type of, I'd say, kickoffs are pulled out by Sheeesh here in this game, because they're not necessarily losing kickoffs here as we go into game number 7, but If we seen the return of the fake just to try and play it safe, I would not be surprised, because at this point, Sheeeesh have got to buy themselves any advantage possible. Villains, after losing 3 straight games in a row, have now managed to win themselves 2 straight in a row and are going to go for a third and go for the reverse sweep here in the finals. If Villains pull off 2 reverse sweeps in one day, that will probably be the first time in competitive history I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it has happened before, but especially against one team, I definitely don't think that's ever happened before. And we'll be looking at it. It looks really likely where we're sitting. I mean, Villains Esports, they've totally taken control.
Yeah, they are entirely in control in this game at this point. And going into game number 7 here, I don't want to say that I think they're going to take the win here, but I truly don't think that Sheeeesh, at the caliber of play they're at right now, are going to be able to win. They need to settle down. There's no two ways about it. They need to take a deep breath and start playing back to the form we know they can play in, because this is not the Sheeeesh squad we saw in the first couple games of the series.
Are we going to see 7 or 6? First goals go to Sheeeesh, or will we finally see the pattern change? Cobo almost tried to get that one out, but it's instead going to be a chance here for Scarf as Sprat just rushes to it to keep him away from it. A demo in front of net. It is right in front of net. Gus gets bumped, but still manages to recover. Gus has been huge. MVP level performance in the last few games.
100%. I definitely think that Villains have all stepped up here, but really Gus in particular has had some stellar shots and some stellar defense all around. And again, juking out the defense here, getting a good solo play, which will set up Scarth, but ooh, Ghost getting in the way, giving Sheeeesh another breath at life here, trying to get back into offense, but unfortunately, they really aren't seeming to get that possession play we saw earlier. When they were on, they were really able to control the pace of play and just dictate how teams were able to move around this pitch. They were controlling the flow. Here in game number 7, that has all gone away. They are no longer able to keep possession for as long as they were previously, and it's starting to show because Sheeeesh are getting desperate for touches. They are rushing into challenges on repeat, and the touches are way heavier than before.
Oh, and a good clear out from Ames. Doesn't quite find Scarf, but it has allowed them a bit of breathing room as Sprat comes in straight for the shot. It's not on target again. A miss from Sheeeesh. It's going to cost them potentially as Ghost goes for another opportunity. 3 players in net. They're going to have a strong set of attacking opportunities here as the boost is starting to run low here for Villains. A pass across to Sprat once again off the post. No goal at 2-minute mark.
How many shots are they going to take? And, well, how many shots are Villains going to take? Because despite having less than half the shots, Villains will be the first one to score, and finally they open up the game with a goal of their own.
They get the first, and we saw this before. When they take the lead, they're able to hold on to it so well. They don't panic. This could be disaster for Sheeeesh. It could be the grand final for Villains. It's up to this one play, and once again, off the post. That's 3 or 4 misses already by Sheeeesh.
I've got to imagine that Sheeeesh's confidence is at an all-time low right now, not only because of the fact that they are about to get reverse swept if they lose this game, but also their accuracy has been plaguing them for the last couple of games. They need to get one that just goes straight on target. None of this to the corner stuff. They just need to put one into the center of the net as another shot goes off the post. Yes, it was saved, but it's not going to matter because the counterattack will not go off the post, and Villains up 2-0 with just underneath half the game remaining.
Oh, and Cobo and Sprat bump into each other in the midfield too. Miscommunication there. Overcommit as well. And look at this. Villains Esports looking like they're about to take the grand final.
I don't know what to say. I really don't. I've tried so many things to say how Sheeeesh can get back into this game, what they need to do to make the necessary adjustments, and the unfortunate thing is that at this point, Sheeeesh, it is up to you guys to figure out what you need to do, because unfortunately, you cannot buy a goal if you were spending $1 million at this point. You guys have put so many shots near target, but just barely off, and it has cost you dearly. 7 shots in this game alone. And I can't help but think back to a multitude of games where this could have been the end of the series, but Sheeeesh just couldn't quite finish it out.
I mean, we've seen it before. It's nothing new. As Gus, though, he may miss this one as a chance. As Cobo comes in, they get 1 goal back, clawing to get into maybe an overtime.
Oh my word, and the first little bit of vulnerability there as Gus, the savior of this game, does not make the necessary touch on the back end. And if your MVP isn't performing at MVP caliber, that might be a reason to worry. As all of a sudden, here comes Sheeesh. Aim is going to clear this one out to the side, but it's not going to be enough because Sheeesh will at least stay in their half. Sprat wants the shot, and he will find it, but Ames does find a phenomenal save. And with about 80 seconds left, all Villains have to do is hold on, but they can't quite do so. Sheeesh, 2 goals in a row, and they are right back into this game.
I can't believe it. Nobody can hold on to a lead. Nobody. It's the curse. Maybe the first goal is the curse. You want to just get into that uncomfortable behind state and then take it from there. But we'll see. It might be a kickoff goal here as Ghost just manages to save it against the back. Another chance here for Gus as he gets the double, but that's not it either. It was such a good chance, and we're getting closer to overtime as nobody can sink their shots.
I was holding my breath so hard on that play because if a kickoff goal had been the end for Sheeesh, if they lost off a kickoff goal, it would have been some cosmic irony for sure, but it would have been a heartbreaking way for this one to end. Instead, I do think that we might just see a golden goal. The last team to score here might just be the one to take the victory. And it could be Sheeesh if they're able to capitalize off of this offense. Sprat going up for this one. Has the flip reset. Has a shot on target, but Gus gets in the way. And just as they have done before, they will continue to be the savior of this game. MVP caliber performance for sure out of Gus.
Oh, that was good, but Ghost was up to it early, but maybe in a bad spot as Sprat just manages to get a touch on it. We're looking towards overtime, but no real boost left, and there's a commit, but Cobo had no boost, so had to send 2 players up for that one. Scarf, an extra touch. Ghost is awkward. Can they get the touch? It's another double commit. They just trying to hold on. They're trying to get overtime. They get the clear, and overtime, game 7.
Game number 7, overtime. It's the greatest scenario we could have seen, and whether or not it was a normal scenario, it's not going to matter because Yumi, it happened! Kickoff goal for Sheeesh, and they win it off of this! My prediction came true!
I cannot believe it. After all of the work, after every kickoff goal they let in, they finally figured it out on the final kickoff in overtime in 3 seconds. Sheeesh could have finished that one way earlier, but they took us for a real ride, got us into overtime, and a reminder, they were 2 goals down in this game.